It was the French writer Jean-Jacques Rousseau who had laid out a plan for the education of women, and there was an indication of their position in society, the way he wrote about this subject. And actually he said that he preferred that a young English woman should, quote, cultivate her agreeable talents in order to please her future husband, unquote. So actually he was not very much concerned with an English woman's sort of education, but with her other qualities. So according to him, it appeared that he was sort of saying that middle and upper middle class women should aspire to a kind of education that would provide them the ability, that would make them eligible to become good wives or to get good husbands. That is what he is saying. So he says that the future wife, that is, she should be trained to be a pleasant companion for her husband, just as in the Middle East women were trained to be members of a harem who would please the pasha or a ruler. So this is what he is saying actually in his work. And so this was something that Mary Wollstonecraft did not approve of at all, and she spoke against this viewpoint clearly, which you would find in the second chapter of A Vindication of the Rights of Woman. And now actually, as we can see, the depressed condition of women, of course, was to a large extent sort of responsible for a system of education which could offer them no career, no economic independence, and no sense of kind of a support network with other women. So Mary Wollstonecraft, in her text, this particular text of Vindication, she was trying to analyze the reasons why women lagged behind and why they were despised by men. What was the reason behind it? And she found out the cause, which was there in the education system, and of course that was what she wanted to change. Now we know that in the 18th century it is designated as the rise of the Enlightenment, and Mary Wollstonecraft now is considered to be one of the primary feminists in this age of reason. But she was responsible sort of for bringing about a change in the condition of women through her works. And Mary Wollstonecraft wrote this book with the intention primarily to lend or to give British women strength, dignity, and identity. So this work, of course, addresses the disadvantages that British women faced, and it also looks at the gender structures during those times. So Mary Wollstonecraft is analyzing the reasons and the reasons of women's degradation and the ways and means how one could come out of this kind of a situation. Firstly, what she found out was of course a common problem, that women were deprived. They were not given access to decent education in the 17th to the 18th centuries. In fact, while boys got a good education, girls were often, their education was neglected. Secondly, women were prevented to have some political rights, and they were not given the freedom to make their own decisions. So there was a kind of suppression or repression at both the political and the social levels. And the emergence of Mary Wollstonecraft in this field of non-fiction writing, of course, it marked the beginning of female writing for women's rights. It was a new beginning as such. And her book, A Vindication of the Rights of Women, it contributed in changing British, European, and later on universal definitions of woman and her functions. So it brought about a certain change in British culture and in the thoughts of the people.